And so once again, Arlecchino is basically back. The best character that most of you will be looking into the second phase of a Lunar Second. And she already had a couple of reruns. I'm pretty sure if you guys really like Arlecchino, you probably already have her at this point. Which is why there were a lot of questions asking about whether or not trying to get her C1 or weapon is going to be the overall better choice for you guys at the current point, especially when there's so many good future characters possibly going to be coming. So making sure you have the best investment is very important. In the end, if you do find the video helpful and enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, as it is a free way to support me and not miss out on my future Genshin video. Durin, as well as so many other amazing not cry character, is going to be coming soon, and I know that many of you are trying to get them. So if you're planning to swipe for pooling, then don't forget to check out U7Buy. If you know me, I always recommend you guys the best deals for your Genshin top-ups, and with a U7Buy, you can save up to a 25% on all of your top-ups. With a 4.7 rating and over 40,000 positive reviews on Trustpilot, you can be sure U7Buy is trustworthy. Here you can see me doing a top-up where I'll be getting 2 Vulcans with a great discount. You just basically need your Genshin UID and server, then voila, your order will be processed instantly. Check out my link in the description and type in my code SUPRA to save an additional 5%, which is a great way to save your money, especially when you're topping up a large amount. Before we dive into whether C1 or her weapon is going to be better, let's have a quick recap of what makes Arlecchino so powerful at her baseline. So Arlecchino is one of the few characters in Genshin that is built around the Bond of Life mechanic at the current point, which is a unique resource that replaces traditional healing with high risk, high reward gameplay. So her E skill applies Blood Debt Directive, which is kind of like a mark to your enemies when you hit marked enemies with her charge attack or her burst to collect these debt and gains Bond of Life that's equal to 65% of her max HP up to 145% total. Once her Bond of Life reach at least 30% max HP, she enters an enhanced state, converting her normal, charge, and plunging attack to deal pyro damage. Other than that, her normal attack then also deals extra damage based on her current Bond of Life percentage and consumes 7.5% of her Bond of Life per hit, effectively turning her own HP into a damaging source. And while the catch is that she cannot be healed by any of your teammates while in combat, and she can only be healed through her own elemental burst, which makes her a true glass cannon who trades survivability for insane damage output. So why does this actually matters in terms of investment wise is because Arlecchino kits revolve around aggressive on-field normal attack and Bond of Life consumption. Both her C1 and signature weapon directly amplify this core mechanic. So C1 boosts the damage multiplier from Bond of Life consumption, while her own weapons provide more Bond of Life and increasing her damage when she has it. At C0 with a 4-star weapon like the Death Match, she's already a top tier pyro DPS capable of clearing Spiral Base as well as Stygian Onslaught with proper team building support around her, but having her C1 and weapon is still very valuable to her, which is why we are looking into it. So what does C1 actually do is that it provides her two major benefits. First one is the damaging boost, where the massive Red Death enhancement value is increased by 100%. So in simple terms, this means her normal attack when consuming Bond of Life deal an additional 100% of the original bonus damage. And also she has full immunity to interruption when performing normal or charge attack while in massive Red Death state. So overall, C1 provides around 20 to 27% total DPS increase over a C0 in especially vaporized and overloaded team comps, which is arguably one of the best C1 value out there in the game still up until this point. And on top of that, you also get interruption resistance, which obviously not something that we always experience with Arlecchino, but it does happen here and there and it can knock you out. So that's a nice quality of life that you can have at just a C1 level. As for her weapon, what makes it special is that first of all, if you are into aesthetics, then it's a weapon that literally turns itself into a scythe when Arlecchino yields it. So yeah, it looks real good and very fitting on her. You do have a 22% crit rate increase, and that is nice. Other than that, the weapon itself generates a Bond of Life on charge attack hits, meaning that you can enter massive Red Death mode even without collecting Blood Debt Directive, which smooths out rotations and provide more flexibility. Other than that, there's a massive damage bonus, a permanent 36% damage bonus when you maintain Bond of Life, which is really nice and a comparable to to a pyro damage goblet value stacked on top of the already existing one that she potentially have. So overall, if you are currently using a 4-star weapon, for example, one of the best out there for her is the R5 Deathmatch, then you're looking at roughly around a 30% damage increase over the 4-star option. In terms of the 5-star options like the Jade Wing Spear, it's around 10 to 15% better. Staff of Homa is around 8 to 12%, and Staff of Scarlet Sand is around 12 to 18% better. However, the catch here is that it is one of the most niche weapon out there that we have for a Poem character, because its passive mostly revolve around Bond of Life mechanic, and it basically means it's only for Arlecchino at the current point. Almost none other character, especially Poem in the game, will be using these mechanics, so it's very much hyper investing into Arlecchino whenever we are looking into these kind of investment for her. So let's put things into a bit of context depending on your account situation as to when the C1 or R1 actually matters more. The biggest consideration in your account would actually be looking into the weapon options for Arlecchino, because honestly speaking, if you do have some of the 5-star weapon out there, then maybe considering her C1 at the start is actually going to be more beneficial for your account, right? Like for example, if you have the Jade Spear, you have Staff of Homa or Scarlet Sands, and you're not using on any of the character on your account, then honestly speaking, you can actually just give that to her and try to go for a C1 Arlecchino, and honestly it is definitely going to be a lot better. On top of the damage increase and also the quality of life of resistance to interruption, it can actually be pretty nice. Then when it comes to the 4-star options, as we've mentioned, there is going to be quite a big gap, and that's when, if you're still rocking a 4-star weapon, maybe it is a good time for you to consider trying to get for her weapon first. So after looking everything regarding her C1, R1 and power level, let's have a quick look in the meta context as well as her future proofing potential, because we are currently in Lunar Second of Not Cry, and at the current point, Arlecchino is still a top tier pyro DPS. I'd say she's still basically on the high end of the A tier, but while the meta is definitely shifting thanks to several high impact releases and buff in the Lunar Second, as well as the upcoming Lunar Third patches, where if we're looking really much into it and you are into the meta consideration, then Mavuika is still basically the best overall DPS character out there that we have in the game, and she's also a pyro element character, which honestly is something that you want to consider when you are using up your Primogems and investing into your account. Now that being said, Mavuika and Arlecchino can technically be on the same team, because Mavuika is a great sub DPS support if you really want to have her do that, and yes, she can support really well for Arlecchino. So if you want to go down that route, maybe you can actually just have Arlecchino on a baseline C0R0 level and invest into a future Mavuika, and then enhancing Arlecchino potentially at that point as well. And Durin is also going to be a really nice potential pyro off-field character that we can also have on Arlecchino team alongside with the magic character. If you want to use Arlecchino overloaded kind of teams, you have like an Arlecchino, Durin, Fischl, and then maybe a Chevreuse. I think that's going to be a potential really nice overload team that we'll be having. But then also in the same situation, we've been having a very nice Not Cry character like Nefer and Lauma in Nefer, those kind of meta shifting Not Cry character, not to mention the future Not Cry character, especially Columbina investment kind of things. We don't know how good of a potential support Columbina is going to be on Arlecchino, because potentially Columbina is going to be a Hydro character, so most likely she can still be used. But hey, it is a high chance that Columbina is going to be able to be on many of the different team comps, and she will also be good. And at that point, it is also going to be potentially an upgrade to your Arlecchino team as well. So that's one of the things that you can consider also whenever you are investing into your Arlecchino, and not just trying to go for C1 and R1 specifically, because honestly speaking, in terms of the flexibility of her C1 and R1, it's definitely not too flexible and is very much focusing on just increasing your Arlecchino. However, in opposed to investing her in a different way, especially into her team comps, is definitely much more versatile, because investing into a different support means that you can potentially use that specific support character in a other team comps whenever you want to build them in kind of like a different way. But at the end of the day, it is still just going to be in my opinion, and I hope that the video have been able to help you make a better decision. If you do have any questions though, leave it down in the comment section and I or some other lovely Genshin player will get to you there. Again guys, I hope that you enjoyed the videos. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe as it is a free way to support me and not miss out on my future Genshin videos. With that, I wish you a super day and I'll catch you on my next video.